So I'm sitting here reviewing the Ultimea Poseidon D70. It's a 7.1 budget surround sound system that comes in on sale, I think right now around $169 on Amazon after a $30 coupon. So we're talking pretty budget here. So obviously something that's going to replace your dedicated home theater in this case. Probably not. But these can be a good fit for some people if they're looking to, use these in small spaces like I'm sitting in right now, bedrooms, apartments, that kind of thing. Apartments are a big one because sometimes you just can't be that intrusive with your neighbors. Well, you can, but you just might have a couple extra knocks at your door, which that's okay too. But today we're going to look at this one, and I've had the D60 in before. It's different, similar. I'm not sure what to think yet. Like I said, I have it hooked up in my little listening space here, and I just have it sitting on a stand. And I didn't want to actually mount it to anything since this is going to be kind of a temporary solution here. But it's 7.1. We get these little extras here. The most expensive speaker stand these have ever sat on, a Buchart A10. So that's an interesting one. And then you get rear surrounds on this too, and it's going to be the exact same speaker. Then you guys can get a little look at the Volumio Motivo too. It's a new product I have in for review. And then I have the other rear surround back here. So what they're selling on this one is a surround sound solution, that's really budget friendly and kind of offers a lot. And my question is going to be, is it going to kind of give you enough? It's going to beat out your TV audio. There's no doubt about that. I've already had this going for a bit, and it is better than that, but there's definitely some pluses and minuses to a system like this. It's budget friendly, which is going to be a huge plus, but there's still some things you need to know about this. Like on the D60, that was actually an Atmos soundbar, so it had the upward firing drivers, things like that. It wasn't the most effective thing because it is a really small, cheap soundbar, but it did okay. This one adds 2 additional channels, this front and left, front surround channels. But you don't actually have any Dolby Atmos, and you don't actually have Dolby Digital. So it's not going to have dedicated sound going to each channel, anything like that. They use their own proprietary surround sound system, and I think it's probably something similar to Pro Logic, likely not quite as elaborate as something like that. And so what I've kind of found so far on it is it's kind of just replicating whatever's coming out of the front left, right, and center here, and it's essentially just sounds kind of like it's replicating the channels identically. It's not a whole lot of movie magic going on here. You do get a pretty, wide surround sound feel just because you do have all these speakers surrounding you. It's not like Dolby 5.1, anything like that, where they mix it so that there's certain sounds are going to certain speakers, things like that. This just feels more like a wide angle of sound coming in from around you, which is good in some cases, but just understand that it's not going to be that real pinpoint kind of surround sound. This is more just make the sound bigger around you, that kind of thing. And as far as the sub goes, I have it tucked away over here. It's just a 6.5-inch sub, so don't get too crazy on how you think this is going to sound or anything, but to give you guys a look at it, there's a port in the back here. The sub is wireless, but then your rear surrounds do connect in the back here. And underneath, here's your little 6.5-inch driver. I think it's 6.5, something like that. And I believe it's around 60 watts total. It does okay, like I said, for this kind of space. You do get, quite a bit of additional bass from something like this. So I can't complain too much about that. So when I do compare this to my TV audio, it is a huge improvement in sound over what I'm getting from my TV speakers. It just isn't quite the home theater type sound that I was expecting. I was expecting the proprietary software that they have to give you some sort of simulated, surround sound that might, somehow pull the detailed channels away, something like that, and move them to somewhat the right locations. But from what I'm getting, I could be wrong on this, but it feels more like it's just kind of taking whatever's coming out of the front and copying it, pasting it around you, which, I don't know. Taking a look at the remote, we kind of have a lot going on here, and this one's a lot more complex than the D60 remote I had before. You can select all your options for like sources, things like that, sub pairing, track controls, volume, mute, dimmer. The dimmer does work so that you can actually, dim this front here. That's the brightest there. And then we can go to the dimmest. If you go into the app, you can actually turn that off altogether, which I do really appreciate that they added that. Then you get into where you can select your bass, your mid-range, your treble. Then you get some preset EQs. My selection would probably be to use the movie one and just pretty much leave it there. That was the most beneficial for me. If you're buying the soundbar because you're really looking to increase the voice channel, things like that, you can do that. It'll make voices a little bit clearer in some television shows. And then on the bottom here, this is where you can adjust the surround volume. And I am going to suggest to just keep this as low as possible. Keep it on number 1, I believe it was. Because if you go higher than that, like I said, it's just kind of repeating the front channel, so it gets to be a little bit too much. If you keep it lower, it does still feel more like surround sound where you're just getting more details, things like that filled in. And I'm not sure what the prompt tone is. I assume that's some sort of tone coming from the soundbar when you make selections, but I would just keep that as low as possible too. I doubt many people are going to be using the remote too heavily. Chances are you're going to have this hooked over HDMI and you're going to be using ARC. So you're going to have the volume control coming from your actual TV remote, which is really good. And that does work flawlessly without any issue, as well as the CAC power controls. So if you turn your TV on, the soundbar is going to turn on. If you turn it off, it's going to turn off. And the volume works great, like I said, so that's good to go. Let's take a look at the app. There's not a whole lot more to add there, but there's some key things to it. Taking a little bit of a closer look at the app. When you're here, you can do volume control right here on this wheel. You can go in here, and this is where your EQs are. Like I said, I generally would just have that on movie mode. Pretty much leave it there. Also, you can do your own custom, whatever you want. And then you can go into style, and this is a bit different, but you can kind of drag it around based on the type of music you're listening to. I don't know, it's a bit different way of doing things like that. I'd probably just leave it at movie and call that good. Beyond there, you can select your sources you want to use on this one. You can do this from remote as well, or on the actual unit. We do get some settings here as well. The biggest thing with this is probably just going to be the firmware updates though. Other than, I guess, turning off the display altogether on the speaker, which is probably the way to go on this. You can just hit close or set it to like 5 seconds so you don't have words coming up on the soundbar, you know, like this. You don't want those on there for very long. If it's 5 seconds, that's not a big deal at all though. Giving you guys just a little bit of a closer look at the unit itself. It's a really compact soundbar, and to give you an idea, this is a 42-inch TV. So it's pretty small. You're gonna probably use this on smaller TVs like this. You do get to get some controls on the top here. You get power, source, Bluetooth, volume. Most of the time you're probably just gonna be operating it from a remote though. Show you guys the back of it. You're gonna start from the left here, and that'll be your power. And then you'll have your front surround channels coming in there. And then you'll get an optical, a USB, and HDMI. You also get these if you want to do some sort of wall connection, things like that. I didn't want to put any holes in my wall, anything like that for this test. So I just have these on speaker stands. So I guess now it just kind of comes down to how I feel about this one. The price is right on it. I mean, you're getting a 7.1 system for right now $169.99 on Amazon after a coupon. You're getting a lot, it's just know kind of what you're getting. This is going to be great for replacing TV speakers, things like that. The internal quality on TV speakers is terrible, and this will give you a pretty nice upgrade over that. As far as what the surround sound capabilities are, it kind of goes just like I explained it. It's going to give you a really wide feel of a sound in a small room, but just don't expect a lot of detail. There's not going to be pinpoint surround sound coming from around you. It's going to be more of just the front channels kind of spread around you. It gives you the feeling of surround sound, but it's not quite the real deal if you're comparing this to something using, you know, Dolby, anything like that. The sub on this one does all right. It's so small that you can really fit it anywhere behind a TV, up front. It's going to be no problem, you know, squeezing this one anywhere you need to. It's not a powerhouse, but it does add substantial amounts of bass over what you get from the TV speakers again. And that's what I keep coming back to, because this is more like a TV speaker replacement. It's a huge upgrade over your TV speakers. It's just not going to replace your dedicated home theater. It's great for small spaces, think bedrooms, you know, small listening spaces like I'm in, things like that. You might throw this out in your garage, anything like that. It'll work for music, it'll work for TV. You get, you know, pretty clear sound that way. Just know kind of what you're buying. We're not talking, you know, huge 15-inch subs here and floor standing speakers that cost more than this entire system. We're just talking a small budget home theater. And for a lot of people, that's going to be all they need. I mean, something like this can do a lot in a small space compared to your TV speakers again. I kind of blankly stared at my camera thinking about how I wanted to end this video. And I think I just want to come back to the fact that if you're into home theater, you know what products are for you. And this probably isn't it if you're a big home theater buff. But if you just want to better your audio experience, things like that, this can fit in for, you know, a person who does appreciate this kind of stuff. Simple systems, budget friendly. That's okay. Sometimes that's all people are looking for. If you want to look beyond this, you might look at putting together like a 2.1 system and building upon that for more of a true dedicated home theater. But if this fits your space, small room, bedroom, things like that, that's fantastic, and something like this might be perfect for you. If you guys could, please like, subscribe, comment below. I really appreciate all of that. I'll talk to everyone soon. Later.